Did you know Teespring, now known as Spring, were failing miserably and had to be bought out by the company Amaze? Not only that, but a lot of sellers were complaining that their payments were being withheld, and a lot of employees were being fired out of the blue. Whilst quietly it seems like Spring were going bankrupt. Let's start at the beginning, because I actually had a great relationship with Teespring. I made tens of thousands of dollars through the platform. And not only were they one of the OG print-on-demand platforms, they were actually really good. They had unique features like goal-specific campaigns. They ran for a certain length of time, and they had adjustable base prices for the items depending on how many items you thought you would sell. They also had super cheap prices with really high quality materials and printing. In recent years, a lot of things have changed, and I simply cannot recommend you to use Teespring or Spring anymore. They used to have high converting landing pages, a cool marketplace, and really good profit margins. Now the landing page is awful. There is no marketplace, even though some people argue that there is, and the profit margins are terrible. But what's worse is they don't even seem to be paying creators the little profit that they are making. In 2021, Teespring rebranded to Spring, leaving many people thoroughly confused. And before the rebrand, Teespring was riddled with issues. Rather than fix those issues, they thought, let's have a rebrand and hopefully everyone will forget about all of those issues. Well, this rebrand actually ended up screwing over a lot of people, and it felt like Teespring were trying to become a platform that solely catered for creators. And since then, they have actually brought out many features that support creators even more, such as integrations to YouTube, Twitch, OnlyFans, Instagram, and many others. And whilst that's actually a really good idea, what they should have done was make another business that catered to creators, or made like a sub-brand. Instead, what they ended up doing was rebranding and screwing over a lot of regular sellers that didn't come with huge audiences. They introduced custom shops and domains, and in theory, this is all brilliant. It's all a great idea. But then they started to charge more and more and more for all of these little things, and the problems that they had beforehand, well, they were still there, and everyone was realizing this. I decided to do a little more digging because a lot of people were asking me if they should use Spring, if it was still a worthy contender in the print-on-demand space. And, well, before saying yes or no, I wanted to really see where they were at this point in time and what people thought of them. And that's when I stumbled across this. Quite a bad look for Spring, and after seeing this, it then led me down quite a rabbit hole. This Twitter thread claims that Spring went bankrupt in November. However, that isn't exactly true. In November, they didn't necessarily go bankrupt, but they were acquired by Amaze. Now, Amaze is a pretty cool company that allows you to build fancy, good-looking landing pages really easily, like a drag and drop kind of system. Now, this all makes a lot of sense because Spring was trying to transition into this platform where you could also create these sexy looking landing pages to try and increase your conversions. That didn't necessarily work out very well, but we'll get to that a bit later. All in all, the Amaze software on its own is quite a confusing piece of software, and when I was actually using it and playing around with it, it's not so straightforward, and it doesn't really link with print on demand that much. Like, I get the whole idea of creating sexy looking landing pages to have high conversion rates, but I don't understand why Amaze bought Spring. What was their reasoning behind it? I mean, it makes sense if they wanted to access the millions and millions of sellers that Spring had, and That is all I could think, really, because I can't think of any other benefits of buying a dying company like Spring, except for their user base. So, have they gone bankrupt? Well, I'm not too sure because I can't see it anywhere like in concrete that they've gone bankrupt. But if you have seen something that says they've gone bankrupt, then let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to look into it a little bit more. Regardless of this news, whether they went bankrupt or not, or whatever it was, there are still many reasons why I would recommend not using Spring at this point. And as well as that, there are some great alternatives, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this video. Let's just quickly go through some of the major issues. The first one being customer service. Customer service with Spring is basically non-existent, and whilst that's very inconvenient and annoying for us sellers, it's 10 times worse for buyers, because we want our buyers or our customers to have the best possible experience. And if there is an issue at all and they contact Spring and Spring don't answer, or they answer badly, that reflects badly on us, and we won't get that buyer again. We won't get repeat customers, which means our business will eventually just die unless we have a constant flow of traffic running to our store. And if you're going to have a constant flow of traffic running to your store, then just set up a Printify or Printful and a Shopify or something. That makes more sense. The next big issue is price. The amount you'll be making is shrinking faster and faster. In fact, the cheapest base priced t-shirt on Spring right now is $15.34. That is a serious jump since my last video reviewing Spring, and that's more than double what I used to pay when I was selling on Teespring. I mean, $15.34 for a base price t-shirt. Nope, that's my t-shirt. For a base price t-shirt, it just seems ludicrous. Insane, especially now where places like Printful have actually lowered their prices and are charging less. It baffles my mind that companies think they can get away with charging nearly $16 for a plain t-shirt, and then you're going to put the design on it and all of that. And I get there's printing costs, there's warehouse costs, there's employee costs, there's fulfillment costs. I get all of that, right? But it still seems ridiculous because they are probably paying between $2 and $3 for this base price t-shirt, maybe even less. Spring also isn't entirely free. If you want a custom domain, which you do because you don't want the ugly long Spring domain, then you're going to have to pay for it. Now, you can either pay for it on like GoDaddy or Google and buy a domain and then connect it, and it will cost you, I think it's like $11.99 per year, as well as actually paying on the other platform for the domain like GoDaddy. You can also just buy the domain straight from Teespring. You'll get a slight discount, and that will cost you between $20 and $40 per year, which I know it's not a lot of money, $20 to $40, but it's not free. And it's also a bit of a slap in the face. At the end of the day, it's a little bit confusing with Spring. They started out as Teespring, a fantastic company. Slowly, they made some changes, which annoyed a lot of people. So they rebranded. Then they eventually got bought out by Amaze. Maybe it was to save them from bankruptcy, who knows? But all the while, leaving sellers completely in the dark, completely unaware of what is going on and just whether or not it's a safe place to house our businesses. Would I recommend doing business with a company like this? Definitely not. Not anymore. There are many, many more issues, but I didn't want this video to be hours long, so I thought I would just list the main ones. A decent alternative that I started looking into is Spreadshop. Now, I don't want to flat out recommend Spreadshop because I'm still in the process of running some tests, doing quality control tests and how fast the shipping is and the customer service and all of these other things. And I'm going to make a video on that when it's ready. So before I can fully recommend them, all I'll say is look into them because they are an alternative to Spring where you can create your own landing page or website of t-shirts or whatever products you want and sell it from Spreadshop or sell it from your own website through Spreadshop. And it seems like quite a good alternative based on what I've seen so far. Now, if you just don't know where to sell your products, maybe you don't want to sell them on your own website, maybe you want a marketplace, or you just don't know what to do, or maybe you even do know what to do, but you want to make even more money from your print-on-demand products, then you've got to check this video out where I give you a step-by-step tutorial on how you can use Etsy for print-on-demand. Everything, every step that you need to take, it's in this video, so check it out next.